On March 8, 2014, a seemingly ordinary day began for the passengers and crew of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 prepared for a routine flight. The aircraft, a Boeing 777, was one of the most reliable and advanced planes in the world, known for its long-range capabilities and safety record. The Boeing 777 was scheduled to fly from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, a journey that would typically take around 6 hours. This route was a well-traveled one connecting two major cities in Asia. The plane carried 227 passengers and 12 crew members. Among the passengers were families, business travelers, and tourists, all looking forward to reaching their destination. At 12:41 a.m. local time, MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The night was calm and the takeoff was smooth as the plane ascended into the dark sky. The flight crew made contact with Malaysian Air Traffic Control. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah and First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid were experienced pilots, well-versed in the procedures and protocols of international flights. They received clearance to proceed on their planned route. The communication was routine, with no signs of any issues or concerns from either the cockpit or the control tower. The first leg of the journey would take them over the Malay Peninsula and across the South China Sea. This part of the flight was expected to be uneventful, as the plane cruised at a high altitude, guided by advanced navigation systems. Inside the cabin, passengers settled into their seats, some dozing off, while others watched in-flight entertainment or chatted with fellow travelers. Flight attendants moved through the aisles, ensuring everyone was comfortable and attended to. As the plane continued its journey, the night outside was serene, with the occasional blink of the airplane's lights cutting through the darkness. Everything seemed to be going as planned, with no indication of the mystery that would soon unfold. MH370 climbed steadily to its cruising altitude. At 1:01 a.m. the plane reached 35,000 feet. The flight continued normally. Routine communication between the aircraft and ground controllers continued. At 1:07 a.m., MH370 sent its last ACARS transmission. The Aircraft Communications Addressing and Reporting System, or ACARS, is a data link for sending short messages between aircraft and ground stations. Shortly after this transmission, the ACARS system on MH370 was switched off. At 1:19 a.m., the crew of MH370 made their last voice communication with air traffic control. This communication was a routine check-in, confirming their altitude and position as they cruised over the South China Sea. The pilot sounded calm and composed, giving no indication of any issues or concerns. It was a standard exchange, the kind that happens thousands of times a day in the aviation world. This communication was routine and gave no indication of any problems on board. The flight was proceeding as planned, and there was no hint of the mystery that was about to unfold. The air traffic controllers, satisfied with the check-in, continued to monitor the flight as it made its way towards Beijing. Just 2 minutes later, the plane's transponder stopped transmitting. This sudden loss of signal was highly unusual, and immediately raised concerns. The transponder is a crucial piece of equipment that broadcasts the aircraft's identification, altitude, and location to radar systems. Without it, the plane becomes much harder to track. The transponder is a crucial piece of equipment that broadcasts the aircraft's identification, altitude, and location to radar systems. It allows air traffic controllers to monitor the plane's position and ensure it stays on its designated flight path. When the transponder stops working, it creates a significant challenge for tracking the aircraft. Without a functioning transponder, MH370 would become more difficult to track. Air traffic controllers rely on this signal to keep tabs on the plane's location. The sudden disappearance of the transponder signal left them in the dark, unsure of the aircraft's exact position. This was the first sign that something was seriously wrong. Malaysian military radar continued to detect the aircraft. Unlike civilian radar, military radar can track planes even without a transponder signal. This capability allowed the military to follow MH370 for a while longer, providing crucial data about its movements after the transponder went dark. The radar data showed MH370 deviating from its planned flight path. Instead of continuing on its route to Beijing, the plane made a sharp turn to the west. This unexpected change in direction was baffling and added to the growing mystery. Why would the plane suddenly alter its course? What was happening on board? These questions would haunt investigators and the world for years to come. Instead of continuing northeast towards Beijing, MH370 turned back. The plane flew southwest over the Malay Peninsula and then turned northwest. The aircraft continued flying over the Strait of Malacca. At 2:22 a.m., Malaysian military radar lost contact with MH370 over the Andaman Sea. The plane had vanished from radar screens without a trace. Hours passed with no communication from the aircraft. Confusion and concern grew as authorities tried to understand what had happened to MH370. Section 5. Initial search efforts. A massive search and rescue operation began in the South China Sea. This was the area where MH370 was last detected by civilian radar. Malaysia, Vietnam, and other countries dispatched ships and aircraft to scour the waters. The initial search focused on finding any sign of the missing plane debris, an oil slick or the emergency locator transmitter, often referred to as the ELT. However, the search yielded no immediate results. The mystery of MH370 deepened. Section 6. A Glimmer of Hope. Satellite data. Days after MH370 vanished, investigators uncovered a crucial piece of information. The world was gripped by the mystery of the missing flight, and every new detail was a beacon of hope for the families and friends of the passengers. Data from a British satellite communications company, Inmarsat, provided a glimmer of hope. Inmarsat's technology, which was designed to facilitate global communication, suddenly became a key player in the search for the missing aircraft. Although MH370's ACARS and transponder were off, the aircraft continued to exchange automated signals with the Inmarsat satellite. These signals, known as handshakes or pings, were exchanged every hour, providing a faint but crucial trace of the aircraft's journey. These signals, called pings, did not include location data. However, they were not entirely devoid of information. The frequency and timing of these pings held clues that could be deciphered by experts. However, they did provide valuable information about the aircraft's direction and speed. By analyzing the Doppler effect on the signals, experts could infer the aircraft's velocity and trajectory. By analyzing the time between pings, experts could estimate a possible flight path for MH370. This analysis was painstaking and required collaboration between various international agencies, but it was a crucial step in narrowing down the search area in the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean. Section 7. Shifting search zones. The Inmarsat data suggested two possible flight arcs for MH370. One arc, the northern corridor, stretched from Central Asia to Turkmenistan. The other, the southern corridor, extended over the southern Indian Ocean. This new information dramatically expanded the search area. The focus shifted from the South China Sea to these two vast corridors. The mystery of MH370 took on global proportions. Section 8. The search widens. With the new satellite data, the search for MH370 transformed into an unprecedented international effort. 26 countries joined the search, contributing ships, aircraft, and expertise. The southern Indian Ocean, a remote and challenging environment, became the primary search zone. Despite the extensive search, no trace of MH370 was found in the initial weeks. The mystery of the missing plane and the fate of those on board captivated the world. Section 9. A mystery remains. As of March 24, 2014, the last concrete piece of information about MH370 remained the Inmarsat satellite data. This data pointed towards the southern Indian Ocean as the most likely area where the plane ended its flight. However, the exact location of the aircraft, the cause of its disappearance, and the final moments of its journey remained unknown. The mystery of MH370, a tragedy that gripped the world, was far from over.